Right, thanks, Goldie. Good morning, everyone. It's really great to see all of you here, customers, partners. In the next 45 minutes, I want to show you what we've been building in the last year to power your business and to make sure that you are ready for the next chapter of finance. But first, I want to touch what Michael said yesterday in his keynote. And Michael said that digital assets are finally breaking into mainstream. And also that now it's time for all of us to focus on rebuilding global finance on-chain. And we believe that there are 4 priorities that are essential for this next chapter of finance. And the first one is to go into new levels of scale and performance. We see the massive growth that there is already in the market with digital assets and with stablecoins, and we expect more to come, and we need to have more scale and more performance, and I'll show you some numbers later. The second thing is to set a new bar for security and, of course, to simplify compliance. And I'll touch that later, and I'll explain to you why this one is so crucial for the future of the industry. The third thing is what I call next-generation operations. We see more and more users coming into the space, both retail users, but also business users. Some of them are in your organizations, and some of them are not crypto fluent. They are coming for the first time to access digital assets, and we need to rethink how these new users need to operate with digital assets more easily and more securely. And here's a spoiler, the way to do it is AI. And the fourth thing, lastly, is of course to build together a path for global payments to go on-chain. And these priorities will guide me in talking about how we prepare for this moment and also where we are heading next. Just 9 months ago, we gathered here in this room, and it's almost unbelievable to think how the market has evolved since then, with regulatory clarity that now we see in Europe with MiCA regulation, and finally also in the US with the stablecoin regulation, with Genius Act and the rollback of Sub 121. Second thing is geopolitical changes that now drive demand for instruments like stablecoins. And third thing, of course, is AI, the emergence of AI, and specifically AI agents that start transacting autonomously, and they need a good way to transact with each other instantly. And stablecoin seems to be the best and ideal way for them to transact due to the programmable and instant nature of stablecoins and blockchain. And these market trends, together with other market trends, drive a lot of adoption in the market, and we see it in the numbers. So this is a chart similar to one that I showed last year, where you can see here how you processed over $3 trillion worth of digital assets in 2024. And if you remember, unsurprisingly, 50 to 55% of it was already then stablecoins. And this year, guys, we are hitting new records. 300% growth in stablecoin transactions that we see on the Fireblocks platform. Huge scale that we see. This is really exciting. But despite the scale that we had to meet in top blockchains, in EVMs and in Solana, we also managed to improve the performance of the system. We have a lot of different metrics to show you, but one that I'm really proud of is this one, 5 times faster transaction processing in all top blockchains. But this is just the beginning, because as Michael said yesterday, there is a North Star, but 2030, we need to hit 20,000 transactions per second. It's a very ambitious goal, but we have a very ambitious roadmap, but a very clear one ahead of us to support that. And there is not really one blockchain that rules them all, right? You have Solana, and you have EVM, and you have Ton, and you still have Bitcoin for the majority of the volume in the ecosystem. And there are now emerging blockchains that we need to support, and we need to support all of them with more scale and more performance and more reliability. And we have a roadmap that is very dedicated to each of one of these blockchains. And as Michael said yesterday, we also partnered with the foundations to find the best tools and the best technologies for each of them. Now, I'm not going to go into these technical terms, although Michael said yesterday that I'm going to dive deep into each of them, but at some point you'll probably want to have lunch. So I'll just say that we're very committed to supporting more scale and more performance until we hit the goal that I showed you in the previous slide. Side by side with that, we're also improving the algorithms for signing transactions. And last year, I showed you MCP-BEM, which is the new, faster, much faster algorithm that we have to sign transactions. is going to be ready for prime time after a lot of security audits and making sure that you guys are able to use it in scale. We're going to release it gradually starting January 2026, really just a few months from now. Another friction point that I'm sure that many of you can relate to in blockchain is the fact that as opposed to traditional finance, every time that you move an asset on the blockchain, you need to have gas in this wallet, right? You move stablecoins like USDC or USDT, and then you need to have Solana or ETH or Polygon. This creates a lot of operational load, especially in scale, because you have a lot of wallets. You need to think, do I have gas in this wallet? Do I need to fuel it? How much fee do I need for that? And we wanted to solve it. And there is a solution for that that some of you are probably familiar with. It's called gasless transactions. Gasless transactions allow you to move transfers on the blockchain, like traditional finance, where you don't really need to have this underlying base token to fund the transaction. And we already have it supported in all EVM chains through a technology called account abstraction, and since last week also in Solana. So now you can move assets on Solana, stablecoins, and other tokens without needing to have Sol in your wallet. This is really great news. By the way, on account abstraction, we are going to use it also to provide you more scale and more security and also more speed. And you'll see later more features that are coming that are built on account abstraction. Now, another thing that I know that many of you want, especially when you scale, it's really great for payouts, but also when you have an operation like an exchange where you have sometimes an influx of withdrawals from end users, is the ability to send transactions or send transfers to a large number of recipients simultaneously. And this is available now. You are able to do that through batch transactions. It's already supported on Bitcoin, and we're going to support it on Solana and on EVM chains later this year. As you can see in Solana, it's going to be available in November, and in EVM in December. It will allow you in a single on-chain transaction to send funds to many recipients at once. It's going to be faster and cheaper. Now, I know that many of you as executives in the organization also want the best experience and to go on the go. You travel a lot, you have the Fireblocks mobile app as the main means of interaction with the Fireblocks workspace, and we wanted to make sure that you get the best experience where you are on the go. So now we are doing a full revamp of the mobile experience. We're giving it a new look and feel that is going to be modern and intuitive. And one of the things that we know that was requested a lot is also the ability to approve a lot of requests at once. You get a lot of notifications on your mobile. Now you are here at the event. I'm sure that some of you have requests coming your way to approve transactions, to sign transactions, to approve policy changes, to approve whitelisting. And then when you have this long list, you feel like a blocker to the operations of your organizations. So as you can see here in this video, you will be able soon to select multiple items for approval and just sign them and approve them at once. And this is going to be available in Android devices next month, really in just a few weeks, and in iOS devices in November. Now, throughout the next year, we're going to keep improving the mobile experience, and we're going to also give you visibility into things that are happening on the workspace, things like balances and transaction statuses and more. So this is really going to leverage your operational efficiency as you're on the go for you, of course, and for other users on the Fireblocks workspace. Now, we can't be here at Spark, of course, without speaking about blockchain support, that we know that it's a very hot topic all the time. Fireblocks supports today over 120 different blockchains. And since the beginning of the year, we are only 8 months into the year, we've already added support for over 30 blockchains. One of them that I want to highlight is support for SWI blockchain, that we see that already gets massive adoption by customers. And we're really happy on the partnership with the FSPM Foundation and the fact that we have it ready now. And the next one that we're going to support is Canton, that is powered by digital assets. This is going to be live in December. And we partner with digital assets, but also with several customers here to build the ecosystem around Canton. So this is going to be very exciting, and I'm sure that many of you are going to use it. Now, Fireblocks invests in security more than any other company in the space. Ask our CFO. We invest over $40 million a year just on security, enterprise security, product security, security audits, and more. And why is that? I want to show you that. These are staggering numbers. Since the beginning of the year, over 150 reported attacks in the industry that have led to loss of over $2.6 billion. This is scary. 1.5 billion out of it, of course, is the infamous Bybit attack that you are all familiar with, but this is not the only one. There were other attacks of tens of millions of dollars that got lost and hundreds of millions of dollars, and we need to solve that. But you know what, even what's more scary than that? The fact that those attacks are becoming more and more sophisticated. And the number one reason for that is that a lot of those attacks are nation-state sponsored attacks, which makes them harder to identify and also harder to protect against. But Fireblocks is a security-minded company. As you know, we've built this concept that is called defense-in-depth approach, because we believe that there is not really one silver bullet that protects against all the different types of threats. And this is why we created these multiple layers of security that protects against different attack vectors, and together they give you the strongest and most powerful security in the market, from the MPC infrastructure that is secure to the governance layer. And the governance layer, also known as the enterprise governance layer, is the layer that enables you to put guardrails on every operational flow that you have today. Every time that you send a transaction, every time that you approve a policy, it allows you to see risky operations and then review them and approve them. And the core component of the governance layer, of course, is the policy engine that you're all familiar with. The policy engine is today the most comprehensive and the leading governance tool in the industry. And I'm glad to say that over the last 4 months, we've done a revamp of the policy experience and gradually rolled out to all customers. So now you have a new policy experience, more intuitive, but it's not just around user experience. It also adds new functionality, because now you can have more advanced rules and also new types of rules that you couldn't have before. For instance, DeFi-centric rules, such as program calls on Solana, DApp access, token allowance, and more. And we built it in a way that is very, very extensible. And this means that you are going to see throughout the next year a lot of new operations that we're going to be added into the policy engine, like trading and lending and user-related operations. And this is going to make the governance layer and the policy engine even more powerful. Now, as your operation grows, and I'm sure that many of you can relate to, because it's good news, because the operation is growing in many organizations, you have more users and you have more accounts and more wallets and more user flows that you need to support. And then you look at the workspace at some point and you see clutter. And we want to make sure that you are able to organize that and be able to navigate through all the different elements that you have there. And one of the concepts, the leading concepts that we have to support that, is the concept of tagging or tags. This will allow you to label different elements in the workspace, group them together, filter by them, and then also use them alongside the automation tools and reporting, and it will really help you get much, much better operational efficiency. But why am I mentioning it? For a different reason. One of the reasons why we added tags was actually to supercharge the policy. Because today, let's say that you have a new customer coming in. Now you have a new account that you need to provision for this customer. Now you need to change the policy and add the account of this new user. And we don't want you to touch the policy because the policy is very, very sensitive. And this is why we extended tags to the concept of protected tags. Protected tags are a special type of tags that cannot be altered without approval quorum. And this makes them very, very secure, and they can work in tandem with the policy engine. So now you will be able to add rules to the policy engines that are based on tags. For instance, separate between your treasury accounts and your customer deposit accounts, between different types of users or assets, and have different rules for each of them. It's going to make the policy much more robust, and of course, much more clear, because now you have more context into the rules that you have in the workspace. Another very important security layer that you have on the Fireblocks security model is what's called the secure network connectivity layer. This is the security layer that powers the Fireblocks network. And since last year, we noticed that many of you use more and more DeFi, and we wanted to give your DeFi experience the same security assurance as you have today when you connect to the network. That when you connect to DeFi protocols, you have all the governance that you need, and you have all the different security mechanisms to protect against things like phishing attacks and so on. And this is why last year we launched the concept of secure native DeFi. Secure native DeFi gives you the same experience and the same governance that you have when you connect today to exchanges and when you interact with counterparties on the Fireblocks network. And I'm glad to say that less than a year after we launched the first integration, which was with Uniswap, we already see over 90% of the volume that you now generate on Fireblocks with Uniswap done through secure native DeFi, which is really great news because it means that you're now doing DeFi in a much more secure manner. But it means also one more thing. We got such good feedback that we want to extend it to more protocols, but also to more use cases. And the use cases that we're going to support next are, first one is cross-chain bridging. This will allow you to move assets from one chain to another in a secure manner. And now, in the age of stablecoins, it's even becoming more critical because think about USDC or USDT. They are spread across many different blockchains. And you want to be able to move them easily from one chain to another. And from December, we're going to allow you to do it in a very secure manner. And next, we'll do the same thing also for DeFi lending. So you will be able to lend and borrow assets on DeFi protocols in a secure manner that really looks and feels like when you connect to the Fireblocks network. Now, I can speak about operational security and about governance for hours, but here is the thing. We give you the best tools in the industry today to protect against different types of threats, but the system is as secure as its configuration. And according to our researchers, 80% of the attacks could have been prevented by having a better configuration. You have the tools, now you need to configure them, and you need to configure them well. But the challenge is that our organizations are very, very dynamic, especially here on this ecosystem where things change so fast. It's not just user, it's external attacks, and it's the new use cases that you need to support. And all that creates a lot of challenge because you need to be very proactive. You need to change the policies and the configuration all the time to meet these new challenges. And we know how challenging it is for you. And we're going to solve it through a new tool that we have on the Fireblocks security model, which is the Fireblocks Security Posture Management, FSPM. Think about it like a security advisor. It gives you recommendations and insights and different alerts that you can apply. You can see the risk, and then you can take an action accordingly and change the policy or the configuration that you need in order to become more secure. And all that comes in a very user-friendly and simple dashboard where you can see all the alerts, all the recommendations. You can see exactly what it means. Then, as I said, you can take an action and then mitigate the risk as it comes. And just to show you a bit on how it works behind the scenes, we connect to different data sources, different intelligence sources. One of them is threat intelligence feeds. The other one is compliance framework, because we also want to give your GRC teams a way to know whether a configuration is compliant with SOC 2 Type 2 or ISO, different ISO frameworks that you need to be compliant with, and of course our own research that allows you also to get alerts on zero-day attacks that our team has discovered. And all that is fed into this engine, and this engine generates eventually insights and recommendations so you can apply them. And one more thing, optionally, you can also use the AI Analyzer and AI-based tools that we built on top of it that scans with AI your policy and your configurations and is able to detect even more insights and recommendations. And this really gives you, the defenders, a way to be ahead of the attackers with AI. So this is really great. We already gave it, by the way, to a few design partners, got extremely positive feedback, and now we want to make sure that all of you get your hands on this feature and are able to use it in a powerful manner and be more secure. We have later today, I think it's 3 masterclass on security that is going to demonstrate how FSPM works. Now, as I said at the beginning of the session, you have more and more users coming into the space, also business users that are not really crypto fluent, and we want to give them a new way to operate with digital assets. And we think that the answer is AI. We've been investing heavily in AI, and we'll keep investing in AI to make sure that you can supercharge your operations. And two features that I'm really proud to show you now that are based on AI are, first, meet Fireblocks Genie. Fireblocks Genie is a simple interface within your console that allows you in natural language to interact with your Fireblocks workspace. You are able to ask questions and then get answers instantly on your treasury and balances and on your policy and other things that you have in the workspace. It will be really useful for you and for anyone in the organization that wants to interact with the Fireblocks workspace in a much more natural way. And you're going to love it. I promise you, once you test it, you're going to love it. Another thing that we built, and before I'll pause here and ask, how many people here are using AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Cursor? Please raise your hands. Great, looks like everyone. Okay, good news for you. You now have a way to connect your favorite AI tool into your Fireblocks workspace. Now you ask yourself, okay, what can I do with that, right? You can do a lot of things with it. And now I'm going to show you a live demo. As you know, live demos always work in presentations. So fingers crossed.
You're probably wondering why I'm here.
Why are you here?
Yeah.
Are you going to do that?
No, I just got word that I need to do something in Claude before you do it. Apparently, you're too smart for AI. All right, I think we're ready.
Yeah, ready? Okay, so
it's
let's
a live
switch.
demo. It will never work, but
live
let's
demo.
try.
Don't abuse the Wi-Fi because I need it. All right. Here is Claude. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with Claude. Some of you probably use ChatGPT. Claude is my favorite AI agent. And I connected it to my Fireblocks workspace. As you can see here, this is Fireblocks. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Claude a question, a simple question. What stablecoin balance? What's my stablecoin balance?
If you don't know, you can ask me. I'm Goldie GPT. I can.
Yeah, Goldie can do the same thing, but
let me think about it.
No, but it costs more money, so we'll do it with AI.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. So now it goes into my Fireblocks workspace, and as you can see, it gave me a really quick answer of how much stablecoin I have, USDC, USDT, and so on, and gives him some more funds. I want to if it is frozen. This is great. You're going to love it. Let's switch back to the slides. All right, so this feature is called the Fireblocks AI Link, and in just a few days, you will be able to access it through the Fireblocks console and connect your favorite AI tool. And you can do amazing things with it. One thing that you can see on the right-hand side is your ability, really, in just a few prompts, to build your own executive dashboard, where you can see balances and transactions, and then you probably don't need to ask your analyst that is not available, and a lot of new things that you couldn't do before without AI. If you want to see more of what you can do with Fireblocks Genie and Fireblocks AI Link and other AI tools that we're giving you, you are more than welcome to the AI Masterclass that will be right after this session on the other side of this hall, on the cafe, right? Yeah, all right. Really exciting. Now, let's talk about a topic that you probably haven't heard enough this year, stablecoin payments. As you know, and Michael showed you yesterday, stablecoins are eating the world. They are growing in an incredible pace, and Fireblocks is the backbone of stablecoin payments. With over 300 companies today that move stablecoins and use Fireblocks to process stablecoin-based payments, we have a lot of insights also into what these companies and some of their audience have and what challenges they have. And we noticed that there is still a really big challenge when you want to operate globally, because you still need to stitch together a lot of different providers and integrations for on-ramp and off-ramp and for FX and for liquidity And each of these providers have different compliance rules. It's in different jurisdictions. It makes things very, very complicated. And we wanted to make it simpler for you. And this is why a few days ago, we launched the Fireblocks Network for Payments. I'm sure that all of you already heard about it and read about it. Fireblocks Network for Payments gives you a single UI, single API, single workflows to connect to all the different providers that you need globally to orchestrate your payment flows, to banks and payment service providers, and to token issuers and liquidity providers and exchanges and others, all in order to be able to do on-ramp, off-ramp, and asset conversion. And everything is going to be also in a way that is secure and compliant than what you had before. Until the end of the year, we're planning to add over 40 different providers. Some of them are already integrated. You can see some big names here in the screen. And we also already heard, even through the conference, many of you asking whether you can also be providers on the network and offer your services to Fireblocks customers. Of course you can. We would love to have more providers in the network. You can ask me or Goldie later off stage and ask us how you can be another provider on the Fireblocks network, and we'll be able to expose your service to Fireblocks customers in whatever geography you operate. And this is great, but one more thing that is very exciting around the Fireblocks network is how interoperable it is with the other parts of the Fireblocks platform. Now on the Fireblocks platform, you can orchestrate end-to-end flows, end-to-end activities around payments from holding the stablecoins on stablecoin accounts, using our treasury management platform to manage those assets. Now with the Fireblocks Network for Payments, also to move them as stablecoins or as fiat, and optionally also issue stablecoins with our tokenization engine. So just to make sure that we don't keep it too vague, I want to show you a very concrete example of what you can do with it. So imagine you are a payments company in Brazil. You have merchants in Brazil, and those merchants in Brazil, they accept Brazilian real. They want to get their payments in Brazilian real. You acquire funds from them, and you want to do it globally. You also want to be able to get a payment from someone, to process payment from someone in the US with US dollars, and then on the other side of it, eventually pay to a merchant in Brazil in Brazilian real. Now, you've been doing it forever as a payments company, but it's a burden, and now we want to move to stablecoins because you heard that it's much cheaper and also much faster and much easier to do that. And I'm going to show you how you can do that on Fireblocks. Everything that I'm going to show here in the UI is also available, of course, in the API, so you can do it in a more programmatic way, and also with automation tools, so you can automate it without writing a single line of code. So the first thing that this payments company needs to do is to be able to process a payment from a customer in the US. They are going to use Bridge as the provider. Bridge is going to accept the payments on behalf of them and instantly convert it into a stablecoin, in this case to USDC. And now I'm going to click to create the order, and then at some point after the customer pays with USD, there is going to be USDC lending in the wallet. But the merchant in Brazil wants to accept it in Brazilian real. What are we going to do next? The next thing is that we're going to use the Fireblocks network to convert USDC to Brazilian real. There are today gladly different stablecoins that are pegged to Brazilian real. In this case, it's going to be BRL1 that Michael also mentioned yesterday. And now I have BRL1 in my treasury account as a payments company. And I now give my merchants an option to receive the money either as stablecoins or do off-ramp and give it to them back as fiat in traditional rails. In this example, I'm going to show you how they are able to receive the funds as stablecoins. And the reason why Brazilian merchants want that is because it's more instant and cheaper. Now, Brazilian merchants in Brazil don't usually have wallets. So the payments company can hold the wallets for them as stablecoin accounts. And now I'm going to show how you transfer on Fireblocks the Brazilian real from the treasury account of the payments company into the stablecoin account that I already provisioned for the merchant, and they can use it either to all the stablecoins or later use the Fireblocks network to off-ramp it back to their bank account. So this is one flow, and of course you can do a lot of different flows for merchant settlements, for stablecoin sandwich, for cash-in, and others through the Fireblocks network. And we have a lot of things to show you. I want to show you the future of the network, because we talked about how we use the network for payments. And Michael said yesterday that now we are in wave 2. And wave 2 is around proliferation of stablecoins. Stablecoins are becoming a dominant form of money. And the next wave that we expect is what we call real-world assets. Tokenized securities and other assets that you have in the real world that are now going to be tokenized on the blockchain, and you can trade them and you can hold them. And we want to solve the #1 problem that we see today with those types of assets, which is token distribution. How to get token issuers and secondary markets to distribute those tokens to individuals, but also to businesses in a way that is secure and compliant. So this is the next phase that we're now working on. And on top of it, we're also working and exploring different identity technologies, because we believe that identity technology is the way to make compliance working in global scale, both for payments and also for token distribution, of course, of real-world assets. So we would love to talk to everyone here that is interested on this next phase and think that you can help in building those next chapters of the network. Now, we have a lot more in the baking, things that I would love to show you and tell you about as soon as they are ready. But we're excited of what we've building for you in the purpose, as we said, of rebuilding together global finance on-chain, and to provide you with the best tools for scale, for performance, for security, and of course for streamlining your operations with AI, and to build together also global payments as they go on-chain. That's it. Thank you. And now I'll hand it over back to Goldie.